Do you ever wonder why Vegas has so many big events and how they actually end up here, what the decision-making process is like? Because there is a decision-making process. And do you ever wonder how an event like F1 can be a complete unmitigated disaster and all the powers that be want to say, let's just do it again for the next 2-3 years, if not 10? Well, we're going to tell you about how the F1 may be finished forever in Vegas after it only spent 1 year. I don't know what's going to happen to the $600 million of infrastructure that Liberty Media, the owner of the F1, built. But we're going to talk about all that and explain the complicated and not complicated process of bringing stuff to Vegas. Welcome back to the channel, by the way. My name is Steven. I'm not leaving Las Vegas. This video aims to help you better understand how bad decisions can be made by people who are making the highest level decisions in this entire city and shed some light on this complicated, cluster blank that became the F1 here in town. So the F1 started as an idea, I imagine, allegedly, as far as I can see, between the LVCVA and Liberty Media, who owns the F1 race. Liberty Media wanted to grow F1 as a brand in the United States. It's plenty big in Asia and Europe and other parts of the world. And the LVCVA thought it would be a great idea to bring in the event because it would fill a gap on the calendar right before a major holiday weekend, which are typically the slowest types of parts of the calendar in Vegas. So they went to the county commissioners and they said, we want to bring in the F1 race, and here's everything that has to happen. 6 months of road construction, temporary bridges across major thoroughfares in the city, as well as obscuring the views off of the bridges because heaven forbid anybody has a free seat to the F1. These people are serious. They want to make money. But the good news that LVCVA would say is that we're going to get a massive 3-day commercial around the world out of this. And the casinos are going to profit, and we're going to have a ton of tourists here in town, and we're going to have rooms that are filled at the maximum amount of dollar amount. So what do you think, county commissioners? Can we do it? And the county commissioners would say yes, or they would say no, or they would say yes, but change this, or no, and no matter what. And that's kind of how the process goes. You follow me? Same thing happened with Allegiant. Hey, we need to get this done, so can you allow us to have this happen because we really want to bring the Raiders here and it's a stadium's going to cost this much. Same thing with the Oakland Athletics. Hey, we really want to have a baseball stadium here. Can we just throw taxpayer money at it and not care about the schools? That's another video for another day. And by the way, I do videos all the time. Now's the time I'm going to ask you guys to subscribe in this video if you haven't done so already. I do videos all the time, and I don't sugarcoat it. Look, a lot of YouTube channels are great in Vegas. They do fantastic jobs, but I think they might just be auditioning for a casino job. What they fail to realize is that the casinos have Tom Brady and Bruno Mars and Lady Gaga. They don't need us, the influencers. So I tell you the truth about Vegas. I do short films, live streams, and educational news updates like this. Subscribe to the channel. Do it now. I know you want to. All right, so that's kind of how it works. But the F1 might have had its goose cooked after the first year, which is just going to blow my mind because there's like hundreds of millions of dollars of construction that they built. But let's think about this for a moment. And this is why Tick Segerblom from the county commissioners said what he said this week. He said something to the effect that sounds like somebody who's trying to get out of a legal contract. Yeah, but we really didn't say that. Well, anyways, here's why he said what he said. He said what he said because 2023 was one of the craziest years on the Strip all time. You had 6 months of road construction, tearing up the streets for 6 months. You had the cutting down of the olive trees in front of the Bellagio. You had building grandstands in front of the Bellagio, in front of the Mirage, in front of the Venetian. You had massive obstruction of traffic, temporary bridges that were built. And the end result was that the casinos profited mostly, but not all. I mean, the downtown casinos actually saw gaming revenue drop in the month of November because nobody was downtown because of F1. And you also had locals who were pulling their hair out. People who were Uber drivers and Lyft drivers, full-time, delivery drivers, not able to get where they were going, taking 45 minutes to drive what should have taken them 5 under regular circumstances. All for an event that padded the pockets of only the biggest properties that were here. And as Tick said, he has not heard a single positive thing said by anybody who lives in Vegas and anybody who is a full-time resident here about the F1. Although the big casinos of the world, the Wynn, the Venetian, they loved this event because they just ran all the way to the bank, with their money bags like Scrooge McDuck. So it stands to reason that all of these obstructions, they're not going to happen next year, but we're supposedly on a 3-year agreement with them. I mean, sure, we'll have no 6 months of road construction, but that's not to say the next year after that we wouldn't have 6 months because they have to repave the roads because these cars are such high-performance machines. So Tick said, we have no contract. Yeah, he literally said this week. He said, we don't really have a contract with the F1, so we're going to have to talk about this one for a minute. And this is in contrast to another person who's on the commissioner's board, which is James Gibson, who on February 7th said, we have a 3-year contract. But this is where it gets so ridiculous. Who's we? You got a hamster in your pocket? That's an old term you might say. We have a 3-year agreement. No. The LVCVA has a 3-year agreement to bring the race back to Vegas. But the county commissioners, they never signed any such agreement. Instead, what they did was they signed a quick agreement that said that if you're going to bring the race to Vegas for 10 years or 3 years, we're not going to necessarily need to have a sign-off on all of those years. We'll agree to let the race run, and we don't have to vote on it every single year and waste our time because we like the idea. But now, according to Tick there, they might be revisiting that idea, saying that, well, maybe this wasn't the best thing in the world. And what's crazy about this is that this leaves Liberty Media, the owner of F1, holding a very short stick after spending what I've read as much as $600 million on Vegas for the first time ever, building their own facilities and putting resources into the city because they figured it was a long-term investment. But what they didn't realize is that you can buy as much advertising and marketing with brands and plaster F1 everywhere, but it doesn't mean the people in the city want to have it around. And when you have what you have right now, which is a group of people who are now going to the LVCVA, small business owners around Flamingo and Cobalt, saying, we lost millions of dollars because you guys wanted to make billions of dollars for those casino companies, just that I can see out my front window. Companies like the Wynn and Resorts World and what have you. Yeah, when it's that unpopular, it looks like people in the county commissioners are actually starting to listen to the people of Vegas and saying, this may not be worth the damage to the city. This could lose us restaurants. This could lose us business. This could push people away. And I've heard that a lot with you guys. I've heard that pushing people away is something that this race has done. So I'm curious to know what your thoughts are, but these are my whole thoughts on everything. And I appreciate you guys watching. I thought I would film this outside today. We got perfect weather. It's 50 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's February. You can't get much better than this. And there's no wind, which is really a good thing. Vegas has a lot of wind in it. So I'm happy we're good today. But you tell me what you think. Are you guys going to come to Vegas in the future if the F1 goes off? Are you staying away? Do you think that we should cancel the race altogether? It's an interesting one. But yeah, I'm Steven. Subscribe if you're just browsing through. Now it's time for the video where I say 3, 2, 1, click. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, and click.